Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, it's preview time. Southampton versus Aston Villa. Difficult place to go for Aston Villa in recent years. Before we get into that, mate, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. It feels like it's been a while.
It
I mean, I
does.
don't know if that's just because we're in January and normally we're used to seeing each other every 2 days, and maybe it's been three or four at this point. It's all been a bit of a blur, but it does feel like a little while since we last sat down to talk about a game. So it's good to see you, mate.
Likewise, mate. Likewise. And this is an exciting game that we've got on our hands, mate. Southampton versus Aston Villa. We've had some not so fond memories there in recent years. Obviously, I think if you go back to the year before we got relegated, getting done 6-1 and Sadio Mane scoring the fastest ever Premier League hat trick at the time. Not a very nice place to go, especially for a 3 o'clock kickoff. And, they got rid of Ralph Hasenhüttl. They appointed Nathan Jones, who, within the next 6 months will be back at Luton, undoubtedly, because that's just how he goes. And he hasn't had a fantastic start to life at Southampton, mate, has he? He's lost a fair few games. But in typical fashion, just as Aston Villa are coming to play them, they've managed to win 3 games on the bounce. They beat Crystal Palace in the FA Cup third round. They beat Manchester City in the Carabao Cup quarter final, and they just beat Everton 2-1 the other day. So it's absolutely typical that we've come up against them while they're in this vein of form, isn't it, mate?
Yes. It absolutely is, mate. What's interesting is that I imagine it's been a little bit frustrating for Southampton in that they've won these 3 games in a row. But if you look at their league form, it's 4 losses against 1 win, because the other 2 wins were in the cup, weren't they? As you said, it was in the FA Cup and the EFL Cup. And so I imagine whilst it's great to be winning games on any level, I imagine for Saints fans, I imagine they can be a little bit irked by the fact that they've put in these brilliant performances, going to Selhurst Park and winning, obviously beating Man City. I mean, it's not the Man City of old, but I mean, beating any Man City team over the last 10 years is an achievement, especially for one where they've been bottom of the league. And then that real relegation 6 points of that old cliche, going to Goodison and winning 2-1. And you've had these brilliant results. I mean, everyone had written off Nathan Jones. Everybody, pundits, players alike, all said this guy was doomed. And so I always like to see someone prove people wrong. And he's certainly done that. But yes, as I said, they'll have that chip on their shoulder in that it's great. They've won in that quarterfinal. They won in the FA Cup third round, but they need to be winning in the league, because despite that patch of amazing form, they still sit bottom. They still sit bottom of the league. Admittedly, it's on goal difference. All the sides in the bottom three are on 15 points. Southampton are in there on -17, Everton on -11, and West Ham on -10. So it's very close. And as you say, with St Mary's not being a happy hunting ground, we have to talk about the third kit curse, don't we? I think it's only one in our last 14 games wearing the third kit that we've won. The last time we won in a third kit was Burnley on New Year's Day, going back, what is that, 3 years, something like that. And so, yes, there's a lot of obstacles to overcome, and against the side that's in their resurgency as we head towards another sort of international break coming up in a couple of months. They want to get as many points on the board before we get into that. I think it's around March time. It's a tricky situation, mate.
It is. And the third kit curse, it actually does extend into that Burnley game, mate, because obviously we lost Wesley and Tom Heaton in the same game, which completely derailed the whole season. So I think we can allow the third kit the W there. They can claim that game. It's hopefully we can break it. The third kit is a lot nicer. I said it on the last podcast. It is a lot nicer in person, actually. I wasn't a huge fan. And I've got one on right here, actually. One of the kits that we're giving away for you guys, just to again show you that we have it. There we go. Bosh.
It does exist.
At the end of the month. It does exist, and hopefully we can break the curse with this kit. But as you say, mate, Southampton's form, it's absolutely torrid. It's I believe 3 points in their last 5 games in the league, which equates to 0.6 points per game in that spell, which is obviously relegation form. And I think the frustrating thing for Southampton fans is it's the constant lack of investment or proper investment. I think you look at the squad and there's a few players who they've picked up and have done all right. And, we spoke about Duje Shaltasar in the summer as a player who Steven Gerrard looked to bring in. Bazunu seems to have been a really good bit of business, to be perfectly honest, as was Romeo Lavia. Samuel Edozie as well, another player they brought in. He's probably been a bit patchy here and there, but it's a side that has been kind of circling the sort of the what's the phrase, the plug hole. That's it. For the past few years now. And I don't know, Nathan Jones is a really funny one because, as I said, he always kind of he builds his reputation up at Luton as this really exciting and innovative young coach who plays this dynamic football, and it's a bit chaotic, but things get done. Gets his big move, it always goes tits up, and then he ends up back in Southampton, back at Luton, sorry. And it kind of feels like that could happen again if Southampton go down. I can't really see them keeping hold of him because I think he's had a few promotion pushes, playoff pushes with Luton in the Championship, but failed to do it at Stoke. Had a stint at Swansea as well, didn't he? If I'm correct, he's just not quite been able to make the leap to sort of. I don't even want to say elite management because I don't think you have to be an elite manager to be in the Premier League, as Nathan Jones has proven. But mate, coming into this, Villa are obviously, we're flying in the Premier League at the moment since Unai Emery has come in, only losing the one game in the league. Big wins away from home against Brighton and Tottenham. It's only fair that we make it 3 for 3 on that run, right, mate?
Yes, so mate, it's a big game. It's a big game, and I look at it and I sort of think you've got Southampton, and then in a couple of weeks' time we've got Leicester again. So these are the games where we really need to be winning, because the narrative around every single one of our seasons since we came up has been, if we only beat those sides that were in and around the relegation zone, how better our season would have been. I was out on a night out with a few mates the other day, and I was saying that, one of my, and obviously it's sort of something that you can use to not defend Gerrard, but say that his reign wasn't a total failure, but also it's the same stick you beat him with, in that if we, obviously, he wasn't in charge for the first one, but if that first game against Watford on the first day of last season, we lost. We then lost to them in the home game as well. And I think it was another game in there with a Burnley or someone like that where we drew. And if we'd won it, we would have finished in the European places with that extra 7 points or whatever it was. My maths was correct. And so these are the games that come back and bite you. And, we've said for the longest time, it's great going and beating, United. And obviously we beat Chelsea away on a pre-season, beating Spurs. But I mean, that Wolves game is the one that I think bugged us all the most, in that, that's what we had to go and turn into 3 points. And, sort of a similar thing happened with Stevenage. And so it's really important, I think, that we go and play well in these games to show that we can, the big change in management means that we can play on the counter-attack against the bigger sides. But when we're expected to be the side in possession that are going to be counter-attacked, we can also handle those situations, and we can break down low blocks and more defensive sides and everything like that. And that's what Unai's been brought in to do, really, is to make Villa more varied in that sense. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game. I think it's such a different place to be travelling to than it was 3 games ago. But as I said, we are in good form, mate, and we do look good away from home. And I think Unai's style suits us going away from home and playing against sides which, we can use our players to better effect. And I think a lot of Villa players are better in more counter-attacking situations. Even, Kamara showed that the other day with that ball carry before the ball out to Bailey against Leeds. And so, it's I find it such a difficult one to gauge. I mean, my head goes to draw. That just feels like the most Villa result at the moment. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it go either way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. It is a difficult one. I'm not going to ask you for a score prediction because I'm not willing to give my own. But I think the important thing here, the important thing in this game is that you obviously don't lose, mate. I think a draw is probably a positive result out of this one if you can come out unscathed. And I think, really what we've kind of seen from Southampton so far this season is they're so easy to score against. They really are. You've just got to find that. You've got to be able to find the ball in behind and really sort of pick apart that defence, because at the moment it's pretty low on confidence. And I know the same can be said about Villa's attackers, really, mate. It's kind of it's not quite clicked so far yet. I think they're starting to understand what the roles are in the squad with Unai Emery's system, which is obviously going to be really beneficial. And this could be a game again where Danny Ings starts against his former club, and hopefully he can come back to haunt them as well. Because boy, he scored so many goals for Southampton against Aston Villa. It's a disgrace. This guy, he that one in the lockdown at home at Villa Park where he kind of took it on the half volley from like 30 yards out. Like, come on, he owes us for that one. So at least if he can get it against his former side, that'd be very nice. But it's going to be interesting, mate. I think Southampton will actually pose somewhat of a similar threat to what Leeds did. I think we're probably going to have a lot more of the ball, but they're set up in the same 4-2-3-1 with that same sort of energy and chaotic press that we spoke about earlier that Nathan Jones likes. It's kind of similar to what Jesse Marsch has on the go at Leeds. So I do think this is going to be one where Villa probably have a bit more of the ball. Just for the fuck's sake, Villa, don't give away any set pieces outside the box. Do not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously we had that game where JWP scored 2 free kicks in one game against us, didn't we? But no, I think the big thing is here, and this is where guys like Leon are important because we've seen what his stats are in the opening minutes of games. If we can go there, score early on, kill the mood in the stadium completely, and get them back on the backs of the players, you know what I mean? Because I think the more that they stay in this game, the more that it's level held, they even take the lead. Suddenly St Mary's is reborn and it's like a great place to be again. Whereas I think if we go there and bang in the first 10 minutes, we have the ball in the back of the net, then all of a sudden that atmosphere completely changes. And that's what I'm saying when, 2 of those games have been in the cup, suddenly they don't matter. Suddenly they don't matter. It's all about survival. And that one solitary win doesn't quite do it for them. And so I think it's really important to start quickly in this game. Obviously, we beat them earlier on in the season. It was one of the worst games of football I think I've ever seen. It was so bad that I've got to be honest with you, mate, I completely forgot it happened. I've just looked back through Villa's results and found the game and been like,
I was going to say, did we play them?
That was really crap. Yeah, JJ scored the only. It was sort of when it was like someone headed it and he shinned it in. He went off the bar, and it was like one of Gerrard's last few games. Not a game to be remembered, but we won it at Villa Park thanks to JJ. And so obviously he's back now as well. So hopefully he can be involved in some capacity. But yeah, mate, let's hope we're coming back at the weekend to talk about a win.
Absolutely. I genuinely thought this was the first time we're playing them. Jesus Christ,
I thought so too.
So long. 16th of September. You're right, mate. Yeah, I think you've brought that back to me now. But yeah, guys, I think that's it for the preview. If you enjoyed, hit a like, comment your thoughts below, subscribe for more. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the TikTok and Instagram. It's at Heart of the Holte on TikTok and at Villa for the podcast on Instagram. Sorry, I spoke too fast and I need a glass of water. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm the Villa.